Man, I missed y'all so much. It is great to be back. Here we are, major number 3, the last stop before the global championship. Man, it is crazy to think we are almost at the end. It feels like we kind of just got started, but here we are, major number 3, that last chance for many trios to secure that spot to the global championship. And it is stressful to say the least, but there's 2 people that I know that can keep my nerves nice and calm, nice and chill. It's Kelly Link, it's Vivid, my friends. Major number 3, we're about to kick things off. How are you guys feeling?
I'm good. I'm so excited. You know, it feels like the year just started, but I also can't believe that we're already at Major 3 and going to be rounding out the teams that are going to go to Global Championships. It's a bit of a mixed feeling. I'm so excited to get to Global Championships, but I'm also sad that the FNCS is almost over.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? Everybody says time flies when you're having fun. Well, time goes pretty slow when there's no FNCS around. It's been like, what, 3-4 months since major number 2. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that we've been living without FNCS for that long. But major number 3, Zeke, there is a lot to talk about.
That's right, man. Why don't we take a look back at kind of what got us to this point? We have this nice little roadmap for you guys. As you remember, majors 1 and 2 we wrapped up, and then recently we took to the Pro-Am. It was super awesome, and now here we are, just 1 major away from the global championship in Lyon, France. Oh my gosh, I'm going to France, Mom. It's gonna be a great time. Man, I think the thing that is like sticking with me the most is in major number 2, obviously we had 3 spots going to the global championship. Now we only have 2. So where the floodgates were open last major, they are that much scarier coming into this. I don't even know what to make of that, Kelly.
I'm sad that you didn't say the Foxy floodgates have opened, but regardless, yeah, Pollo, Agers, Acorn taking away major number 1 with Peterbot's trio also joining them for that ticket. And then we had 3 other huge teams join for major 2, which was Clix' trio, Reeds, and Visuals. But now we still have so many big names that want to fill out this screen right here, major 3 qualified trios. And with only 2 spots available, Vivid, it is do or die right now. Everyone is going to be pulling out whatever they can to make sure they get those coveted spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, right? We were talking about it last major. It's like you really want to qualify during major number 2. I mean, the most spots being available, and then if you don't qualify, you're going to have to go to that last chance in major number 3. But then it's like, oh, well, our last chance to qualify for globals also has only 2 spots available. Just super, super competitive.
And before they can even get into the Global Championships, they got to get to the Grand Finals. And let's talk about how these trios are going to be getting into the Grand Finals in case you were just watching for the first time. 1, hello, welcome to the FNCS. We've already had the play-in stages where we found our top 99 trios that have made their way into the group stages where they split into 3 separate groups. From here, that's what we're going to be watching today. And you're going to be watching out for 10 teams. For each team that gets a victory royale over the 5 games today, they automatically make their way into the major finals, and they will no longer be playing in the games left. By the end of the day, the top 5 teams from placement will also be joining those other 5 trios. But Vivid, there's still 1 more opportunity for trios to make their way into the grand finals.
Yeah, that last chance qualifier of groups 1, 2, or 3 don't work out for you. We'll see you then.
We don't want to take it that far though, right? We want to try and secure that spot here and now if possible, but maybe you haven't been playing Fortnite. You're not sure what's going on. Maybe this is your first time. Hi, it's great to have you here. Let's talk about the meta. What can our viewers expect to see, guys? I mean, there's brand new POIs. There's a new loophole. There's medallions. There's boons. There's a hero rank. But many of these trios, Kelly, have their eyes set on Demon's Domain.
Oh, and not just a lot of trios. The 2 big trios for North American Central. Of course, I'm talking about Peterbot versus Pollo. What a story these 2 trios have had. And it all coalesces to this POI right here. Typically, in the FNCS, a team will ego out another team. But when the 2 biggest teams in the region ego each other, well, it looks like they're going to be staying here in Demon's Domain. And there's no confusion as to why. It is that medallion. And then, of course, the Mythic Enhanced Sniper Rifle as well, Vivid.
Yeah, the 2 best teams in the region always going to want to go for the best loot. The medallion's so good, right? Being able to regen you up to 50 shield, kind of replacing the minis, kind of freeing up an inventory slot. And we've talked about it plenty of times before. We all know how valuable some of those inventory slots are. But there's actually another medallion on the island that is kind of worth going for, that Rift Island that's going to be spawning fighting the boss up there is going to net you some weapons as well. But then the medallion that kind of allows you to not only go invisible, but also when you come out of a sprint jump, you're going to go a little bit further, right? And oh my gosh, giving that ability to some of our pro players who love to play aggressive. I'm looking at players like Peterbot, players like Pollo, right? It is scary.
I mean, it's very apropos that the boss's name is Core, because this medallion is very core to our top teams right now. The solo clutches that come out of this medallion, and I know I'm skipping the mid game right now. The in-game solo clutches that I've seen with this medallion is just so exciting to watch. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of encompassed what this whole season's been about. It's just exciting. These end games are so different than what we've had throughout the year.
Okay, I like that. You're highlighting the end game. Why don't we take it back to the beginning, the mid game? Let's talk about this brand new economy, right? The hero ranks. We're starting at C. We're trying to make it all the way up to S, but like, why are we doing this? What's the purpose of that?
Well, you have all these beautiful hero caches throughout the map that give you all these incredible loots. Obviously, starting from C, it's going to be the lower tier loot, but then going all the way up to S, you can get some incredible items, including the hero items as well. And it's quite easy actually going up from C all the way to S. There's various things you can do throughout the map to be able to increase your hero rank, to be able to unlock these caches, much like the sprite shines right here.
Yeah, and I've always kind of loved to look at Fortnite competitive as a game of time investment, right? In these hero ranks, kind of having this list of tasks you can do, or quote unquote invest time into, and then at the end of it being able to reward some of that time that you spent with loot. Love stuff like that around the map.
You know what else I love, Vivid? It's mobility. Guys, there is so much, you too. There is so much mobility in this season. I mean, do you guys remember Grim Gate? You guys remember being able to dash? We are back at that again, but this time from a little sprite with a little mask. Who is he? Someday I hope to find out.
Yeah, the sprite dash that we have right here, what I really like about this item, and that is kind of missing from a lot of the other items in the game, is that it's actually an AoE item. So it's just one person has to hold it, but then everyone in the trio is able to actually get the benefit of those dashes, similar to the Grimgate, like you said. But my favorite item, Vivid, is definitely the Surf Cube. What we've seen from these aggressive W key players in the early to mid game with that the Surf Cube is absolutely devastating.
Yeah, of course, Surf could be very, very good, but I can almost guarantee you all of our trios, all of our players today will easily replace that item with the Mist form if they can go ahead and find it. And if you can get 3 of these on a trio, it makes your rotates just that much easier, right? Go ahead and turn into a bird, fly to wherever you think you should place yourself in the next zone. But it's like, oh, well, let's think about Fortnite competitive. Usually when you make those rotates with some of these mobility items, you take so much damage. Not this time around, because it's going to make it so that way you actually cannot take damage, which just creates so many incredible moments.
Meta defining. I cannot wait to see the Mist form in action. And when I talk about meta defining, there's also 2 names I have to kind of pair with that. It's Monster D-Face, it's Jacob PR. They're your casters.
That's right, we got a lot to look forward to this season. The hero ranks really shaping up a whole new dynamic for Fortnite right now. And then this loot pool, nothing like we've seen this year.
Yeah, everything's kind of been shaken up this season around, even including some of our teams. A lot of our top teams might have stayed the same, but we have a huge mix-up as you continue to go down that roster list, even in today's group stages. And so you kind of look at teams like Acorn, Agers, Pollo. When are they going to qualify? Is it a game win? Is it consistency? But I'm looking at some of those underdogs, Monster. When are they going to finally punch their ticket to finals?
It's going to be tough, right? We're talking about a season essentially that we've had limited set lobby opportunities, right? If you weren't out there really putting your nose into the scrim scene, then you will be coming out the gate struggling here. So we'll see who's been putting in that work here as we're starting to look up and gear up here for just the first group stages. I mean, but it's obvious, Jacob, we got a couple favorites, like you mentioned, Acorn, of course. And you know, again, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it definitely is. When you kind of look at those big game-winning teams, I'm also looking at the consistency. Oliver OG, history has it on his side. Power, Blue Zonda, I got to think they got it as well. But there's so many more teams to break down. Zeke, let us know what those teams are.
Incredibly insightful, and I agree, right? In case you maybe didn't know, we're playing for one of 2 things: either a victory royale, which means, hey, you're good, you don't have to play anymore, next time we'll see you in the grand finals, or through consistency. That's what Jacob was talking about, right? So if we end the day in the top 5, or making it through as well. Now let's bring up our lobby list. Who are we seeing here in group number 1? There's a lot of big names, and of course, little Timmy, look at the top left of your screen. Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. Yes, they are competing here in group number 1. Guys, I mean, I feel like we should and can and once again should expect these guys to get a victory out, right? I mean, it's Pollo.
Yeah, 100%. You know, potentially uncontested over in Demon's domain, but with these group stages, you never really know. And honestly, I always say that half of esports is the story, and who has a better story than Pollo, Acorn, and Agers? Both Pollo and Acorn being dropped by their duo mates at the end of last year, joining together, and when a lot of people kind of wrote them out, they go off and win Major 1. But then Major 2, a little bit of a step back, getting 5th place, which otherwise is absolutely phenomenal. But from this trio, a little bit surprising. But we've seen this climb up from Pollo. In the play-ins, he got 165 eliminations just by himself. This is a trio that everyone is looking to not just walk away with a win today, but Vivid to potentially walk away in 1st place for Major 3.
I mean, you're saying that everybody's kind of looking towards them. I'm wondering what this trio is looking forward to doing this major, right? Are they actually going to be going for that win right now? Are they kind of shifting their focus towards like the early game, right? And winning that early game engagement that you were kind of talking about, going up against Peterbot's trio, of course. Is that going to make it that much harder for them to kind of win? Are they kind of looking towards globals to kind of make sure they have an uncontested spot there? Who knows? But I can almost guarantee you today their focus will definitely be winning a game.
Man, I cannot wait. I'm sure we will see both of those trios in the grand finals. But first, why don't we talk about another trio? Let's bring that live list back up once more. Center of your screen, Taki, Isho, and Vert. Now, obviously, like if you've been following the scene, you've heard the name Vert before. But what about Taki? What about Isho? How has this trio been performing up to this point?
I mean, they've honestly actually been performing quite well for a new trio. Vert going all the way back to 2019, even winning an FNCS 2020 solo championships for NA West. You know, he's been a player for such a long time, now joined by Taki and Isho, relatively newer players. And since they've been joining up together, they've had some pretty good performances. 10th place in the last FNCS finals. And also big shout outs to two of the players here recently signed by Soren organization. And clearly after the performances that we've seen from them in the play-ins and just this season in general, I can understand why organizations are kind of turning their focus onto them. They have such great aggression early and mid-game, and honestly, I'm a little bit surprised about how aggressive they are, but it seems to be working out for them, being able to take down some pretty big teams recently.
Yeah, I mean, what a first showing, right? Making it to your first FNCS finals and then getting 10th place. There is so much to build on for that trio right there. I'm sure they're going to go ahead and make it in the grand finals today. I'm excited to see what they do there.
Oh my gosh, man. There's just so many names. There's just so many names. And, you know, if you maybe didn't have a chance to watch EU earlier, you already know that this competition is crazy. And again, I'm just going to continue to stress this until like the final day of grand finals. Okay, this is the last chance. Okay, we need to make it to grand finals to try and secure a spot going to the global championship. However, one last trio to talk to you guys about as we bring up that live list one final time. And we take a look at page number 2. There's a trio on this second page that has not secured themselves a spot. And if they don't, I'm not going to globals. Okay, it's Bugha, it's Threats, it's crazy. Come on, man. Is it even globals without Bugha, Kelly? Is it even gonna be globals?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Zeke, and hopefully we find themselves in our top 5 list, and we've seen them quite close already. Bugha and Threats have had some pretty good performances in Major 1 and Major 2, but just not close enough to be able to clutch out that global championship spot. Now joined, or I should say rejoined by Craze. They've had some pretty good performances so far, even taking down the likes of Pollo's trio during mid-game fights that we saw during the play-ins. They clearly have the aggression. They have a great drop spot landing over in Utopia City uncontested. We've already seen that they have some good placements throughout the Div Cups, but is that going to be enough for the grand finals?
I mean, Bugha himself made it to 25 total FNCS finals, only ever missing out on one, trailing Kanata in that regard, right? He just consistently makes these finals. I'd be not surprised at all. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it's probably about a 99.9% chance that they go ahead and make it into the finals.
Why would you say that? Why would you curse them?
Because,
you know what?
have
That's
to.
not
Yeah,
my
yeah,
script
make
says
it
that they're in the
spicy.
finals. So I'm going to stick to the script that I wrote. Guys, we're getting closer here to starting off the competition. I was kind of curious to get your thoughts. So obviously, again, this being that final chance to qualify, less spots through at grand finals. How do you guys feel that like where the players' headspace at, right? Like there's been pressure before, but like now it's got to be more than ever.
I think due to the nature of these group stages and how players can win, whether that's victory royales or placements, I think that we're going to see a potential heal off in games. And I mean, Vivid, I think that's something that we've kind of been seeing over the last few weeks.
I think just over the course of the day, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. This specific lobby has never happened before, so these teams are going to have to kind of learn in game number one what's going on around them and use it in the games following.
Adapt, adapt, adapt. Let's get into it, Fortnite fam. The competition kicks off right now.
We are here, Monster, at the precipice of game one of these group stages, FNCS Major 3. And one thing I got to really talk about and shine is there's 13 teams, even more so players that are looking for their first grand finals. Game one starts now. Let's get into it. And this is where the story begins for some of those teams. Some of those players, Monster, over 13 of them are looking to punch their ticket to the grand finals, continue their journey, and start what could be the birth of a new star player on the region.
Has to be, right? And again, very limited set lobby opportunities all season long. You know, these are their, for some, first chances to really go toe-to-toe at a bulk of these draw spots. We saw early glimpses of what little areas will be contested. Most of those opportunities taking place or center map and leaning a little bit north to the west sides. Here, of course, we have a Flood of Frogs fight. Over on the opposite side, you got Liam already taking his kind of battle head-to-head with the opposite trio here, and they haven't gotten shields really to work with. There it is. I was going to say, what are they waiting for? But, of course, have to gather together for those slurp kegs, and now it's game time.
He said quick stat, 55, over half of the lobby, Monster. And resistance base is one of those spots contested. It's not easy to get an advantage. There's a lot of places to sneak around, a lot of nooks and crannies to hide. And Boogeyman quick, they are missing about some HP, but Liam's going to be the first one to go down in the entire fight. This is not the way you want to start your game one.
Got to be careful. That Twin Spire packs a big punch, big damage. You see it now, though. Players jumping into the box. Pay 14, finding his tags, and they collapse quick on the opponents here. Pay gets rewarded with all the eliminations. And just like that, they clean things up here at the resistance base. And the zone's on top of them. This is a perfect start for their kind of initial kickoff. But remember, all that matters is a victory royale, right? You want to punch your way in and out of today's competition to go straight to finals.
Demon's domain, or I mean, the Fortnite community would call it Pollo's domain, Peterbot's domain. This is the contested fight that, you know, we've been seeing all off season long, but in the group stages, the teams kind of split into their each respective groups. Agers, Pollo, Acorn this time around are going to get it uncontested. And honestly, I don't know if that's good for the rest of the lobby, giving them a ton of time to formulate a plan, loot up, and then they get the extra superhero rank XP from that uncontested Demon's domain drop.
In some ways, it's like, just let it happen. It's inevitable, right? So we'll see them punching their way in and out. We'll have a lot to talk about that trio as we get into the grand finals weekend. But here in the group stages, it's nothing but another day in the office. Got a little fight going down right now, though. This is just outside of that resistance base. Furthermore, west here. Low ground team seems to be a little lost in the action right now as Amen not sure where the shots are coming from. Can't keep yourself exposed like that.
You can kind of even see, judging by the loadout, there's some missing bits of utility, some players only having ARs, no shotguns. This is a straight off spawn scrappy fight between these two teams, and timing is of the essence. We already saw the resistance base, the dust settled over there, they're looting up. If they hear this noise, you know as well as I do, Monster, invitation or not, they're like, hey, this is a third-party opportunity. This is for us to get that early game storm surge, so that way we can start to dictate our own game plan rather than kind of forced to fight a team because the storm surge says so.
Things seem to be kind of simmering out here. Both trios likely contemplating of whether or not this is worth taking to the finish line right now. But it's up to the high ground team to go in and make that disengaged decision. For now, they're sitting, looking for opportunity. as Turbulence is just kind of sitting idly, almost signaling to the team like, hey, look, we don't want to even leave from here. You know, you have a chance, run away. We don't gotta end this right now.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said. The high ground team has the one with basically all the flexibility, all the choices in the world. No one's going to be able to disengage until they say so, but you're seeing a lot of these early game scuffles all around the map, even for some high places over towards Brutal. Boxcars just on the outskirts. Ford, Mako, Icy, box-to-box hole with another team, and they have one of them separated, and that's why they're trying to pounce, take the 3v1 while they can, and even with the shots coming in, that third party, you see a whole nother team on the eastern side of that Brutal Boxcars. Because the zone, something you mentioned early on, is pulling in this direction, mainly towards the north. This is going to be a priority position.
Yeah, Mako's trio definitely needing some ammunition. They're going to look to finish up Luke here. Should be all she wrote. There it is, the first knock. So Brutal Boxcar trio is forced to retreat. And this is all because of that Eastern team. Had they not put their influence in, I mean, Panda, Luke, and VenoX here, I guess, would have been full finished.
At least they're going to be able to kind of get a little bit of control over towards Brutal Boxcars, but you're seeing how active the game is overall. From Outpost, rotating up to Kappa Kappa, Rise, Aviv, G-Money, just taking the fight to Jargu, Silic, and their trio. Luckily, it looks like one of them might have been able to survive, and that's going to be the saving grace for that team over towards Kappa Kappa that lands there.
Pretty tough, you know, when you got a tier 1 team landing on you, and you're arguably up in that upper echelon of tier 2. Very notable trio fight right there, so unfortunate for them. Aviv, G-Money, and Rise, of course, a team to look out for. Set to do well here. Another team, of course, to look out. Blake Diego, Oliver OG. Season after season, year after year now. Oliver continuing to show up at the final stages. I would, in the past, maybe put this as a team that could be a potential qual, but now I think they're a shoo-in.
Yeah, I would agree with that one, especially since they're mainly getting in through a lot of consistency. A lot of these tournaments, they're playing these games in a finals-esque style lobby, even though some of the tournaments, some of the scrims don't necessarily end up like that. They're just staying true to their focus. As you go back on over towards Brutal Boxcars, getting a little bit more busy. This you have that shrine boss over here. You get a lot of superhero rank. You get a lot of different loot, ammo, med kits, minis, and the exotic weapon has a chance to drop. That's where you're seeing a lot of the focal point end up in this direction towards Brutal Boxcars, because even if a team isn't necessarily getting it for themselves, they're looking to see what scraps are left behind.
Yeah, but let's be honest, the best way to, of course, earn those hero ranks, you gotta take fights, find your damage. Kind of scrap by, of course, doing all the side objectives, but teams are going to look to fight first, and Mako, Ice, and Void find out the hard way here as Northern lands on him, and Sandman comes from a side angle with 20 here, and they seem to have, I guess, the momentum in their side. Yeah, look at this, Mako down to 10 HP, cut off and finished, and that's the power of the Sprite Dash there. You know, most players try to preserve them, right? You know, you don't want to burn them off too soon, but you play like that, Plenty, of course, showing how to do it, how to get it done.
Yeah, almost like a no-brainer sacrifice. If I use these 2 charges and it gets me an elimination, definitely going to be worth. And that's 20. Northern, Sandman, they land at the Supernova Academy uncontested. So you see, as soon as any team is uncontested towards Supernova Academy, because of that rail that launches you over towards Brutal Boxcars, it inevitably gives you a free shot, a free opportunity to fight the team without them noticing, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Even with 1 elimination, they got full control. But still, all around Brutal Boxcars, you're seeing this, Mad and Monster and their trio just getting these eliminations, cleaning up what is left on these outskirts, and if not for the points, it's for the loot that they weren't able to get early on.
Surprised they don't even see Void there, so he's kind of laying low right now as they've just been hunted down. No breaks given to them. Madden, Liam, and Drizzy was that Eastern team fighting on the mountains. It was just a matter of time before they kind of rotated through, so see what all, of course, resulted from that. Booga, Threats, and Craze. Booga looking to make his, what was that Vivid pointed to at the top of the show? 26th or so FNCS Grand Finals here to come. Very big time for of course, Booga. One of the most consistent year after year, season after season. Just doesn't give up.
Yeah, it's the most in this lobby at 25 currently. Agers is actually going to be the second most with 22, along with Acorn with 22, seeing a lot of experience in this lobby. As the zone pulls and kind of centers up Utopia in the middle, that kind of gives them all the flexibility in the world. They don't have to rotate. They know from the north, the south, and the east, the teams are going to have to rotate into them, so they just kind of set up their triangle surge bases over towards Utopia to get as much of that storm surge as possible. Ishu, Taki, Vert, they land just towards the northeast of that Utopia city. And they typically are going to use this geyser. And instead of just once, because people are wondering right now, Monster, like, why? They're already in the sky. What are they waiting for? You double use this geyser. It gives you extra height. You're able to use it to get farther in towards the zone. So when we tune into them later on, Monster, I expect them to see probably center zone set up, ready to go.
That's one of those techniques carrying over from the last season. So you can see the optimization here coming through. One thing to think about, I know Kelly was hinting at a potential increase in heal-offs, but we also are seeing an increase in teams playing the Storm, right? The Mistform gives you that much more freedom to kind of play around and battle really inside of the zones. I'm thinking we'll see a lot more Storm sickness, if anything, come the end game, but give it a second there. Vert, Esho, and Taki on the hunt once again, finding out Liam there. It's going to be one of two left in this trio.
Almost makes you wonder, did they just land on him from that double geyser? Probably so far away from his team. You see it on the western part of the mini-map. They're slowly, surely rotating in. Yep, that's exactly what they did. They landed directly on his surge base while Ishu just shooting him out from underneath. I don't think he stood a chance with the way they did that one.
That might be a little play they're giving away for grand finals right there. I don't know if I'd, run that playbook so soon here in a group stage, but one thing to think about, showing you all the vulnerabilities of playing so far apart from your teammates.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Medmiss, smoke is already down, and this is kind of exactly what you were alluding to, how deep and how long they do fight into the zone. For Broken, Void, King, they kind of need this situation. They didn't necessarily get the most surge to start this game off, even while contested, so now they kind of feel forced in this situation to try to fight for it. 2v1, pressuring the box. King is able to get in, landing a good shot and continuing to pressure out, but damage is still there. But it's still a 3v1 monster. The bait and switch, they're making sure that the first point guy going into that box is going to be the most healthy, and that's why Broken is now taking the lead. Charging in, pressure's there, and there goes that full trio down and out.
Excellent pre-fires by BJ, but not enough to hold it down, and what a huge elimination. Their first Mistforms now falling out of their inventory into the hands of Void and company. That's going to be a massive power exchange for them. Looking at Acorn, Pollo, and Ager, seems like you've got full control of things on the other side of the Foxy here. Again, this is about as ideal as it gets right now. Cat material loadout, this natural high ground, and then you see a loadout perfectly situated right now for an end game. So it's all going to come down to fishing for damage here and just staying consistent now.
I'm sitting here looking in the mini map. I'm like, okay, Acorn has the island. You got to imagine they have the medallion. Where is his team? Nobody is on the island with them. They have so much separation. They're covering up so much space in this zone that they're able to kind of do what they want. Agers is on the north side, west of Foxy Floodgates. You got Acorn on the island. Let's go on hunted. Where is Pollo? He's on the other side of Foxy Floodgates on the mountain. So they have the west covered. They have the east covered. And then they have Acorn sitting in the middle, ready to help whoever needs it at any given time. This is just a perfect kind of scenario for what looks like the Major 1 champions.
Yeah, most definitely. And we saw a quick look at everyone's loadout. I mean, they are big chilling for this end game right now. Again, the name of the game for them is just hang out, get a little bit of damage, and I mean, they have full control of the Foxy's entire domain. Here's not too far off, Hound. Lila Larson right now at the Crime City. Lila whiffing a couple shots, but this is a team that already has a trio wipe under their belt.
You kind of see him looking off in the distance. In the minimap, you see that little chest there where one team's already on it. Just north, you see the little green arrows, the second team. They're just kind of waiting for their superhero rank to go up. That's going to unlock the ability for them to open up that chest, get whatever loot that they have, kind of pick and choose if they already have a full loadout. So you're seeing kind of proactive plays coming out from some of these teams, kind of trying to box up and steal the loot, even if they don't have access it with their superhero rank yet.
Superhero rank is going to unlock you a lot of goodies on this end game, but hold up. Mafia already pushing up here. Woods, Minty, and Ski got to be careful right now. This team's looking at full collapse. Very interesting base. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fight start a base like that. We'll find out what the play is here shortly.
Just judging by the low surge, no eliminations. I believe that was the team that lands over the top eastern portion of the map. So instead of using that time to rotate in and get Storm Surge, they were focusing on that primary position towards the center of the zone. But that kind of leaves a hole in their game plan. So even though they're only 73 above the damage threshold, that can turn in the blink of an eye as soon as the next couple of zones do pull if they don't accumulate damage. Darzi goes Blizzard and Zoom as well, 47 above. It's a small feeling of confidence knowing you're at least not taking damage, but in the back of your mind, you know, I got to start finding, I got to start hitting these shots. Otherwise, it's going to be me forced with my back up against the wall just to push the first team we see.
Yeah, got to take accountability if you're not finding the tags that matter. It's the small decisions and opportunities that change your entire Fortnite game experience for sure. Well, let's jump into some action right now. Jargru having Silic here. Have a team on top of them, but one kind of looking, fishing for damage. They just want to get a few tags in, right? Kind of ease up this pressure that's coming from the Storm Surge here shortly for Mikey's trio. And Crackly, they don't want to be too rash either. Kind of waiting for the team to come to them, and it seems like everyone has decided to jump into the blender. Unfolding pretty quickly here. 75 damage above right now. Tries to retreat now for Focake. They want to heal. Kind of forced to right now.
Not necessarily in the worst spot. Moments ago, they were above the damage threshold. Much better than Jargo, Havoc, and Silic, who are 273, which is more than a full shield elimination. Crackly probably looking to take some of their focus, but Jargo used that misform to try to reposition, but he's still trying to go on the offensive. No opportunities for him there, but they're trying to play calm, cool, collected. Even as they're so far down the damage threshold, they're trying to play as calculated as possible because you cannot give any big shots up to any one of these two teams because then it could be all over.
I mean, answer this, Jacob. Can you misform and block a Storm Surge tag? Like, have we seen that tested to some degree?
The timing on that one would be actually pretty safe. I want to say it's possible because I've seen that misform mitigate every single ounce of damage so far, but Hypers loses Focake, and they're still falling below that damage threshold. But with the Outlaw Shotgun, all it takes is one shot to turn the tides of not only the fight, but your damage threshold. But that's not going to come into play this game, at least. That full trio is going to get wiped by Jargu, Silic, and Havoc. They're going to be able to live to tell the tale and hopefully get in his own sooner rather than later.
That's how you handle being below the surge. Well played by them. Very few teams will make it out of that type of situation alive. I mean, you had three trios all on top of each other for Smas, Electro, and King Beast. Oh, no. A lot of damage coming through. It's a world of trouble here on the horizon for Smas. Trying to find a tag. This is the crucial one that mattered there, but boxes up the team. Okay, almost got out of there with the tag he needed.
Oh, that was a great play. That was getting him to cancel the med kit. Active Storm Surge. That's exactly what you got to do, Monster, in situations like that. You almost can tell if you're above the damage threshold by like 200, 300, 400, and you know a team is recklessly pushing you as far away from the zone as they have, you kind of get a semblance of, hey, maybe they're low on surge. If we could just survive long enough, that will do the work for us, and that's exactly what just happened.
Rise, VG money now. Outside the safe zone here. Gonna say, forced to kind of make this rotate here and now. A little bit earlier than the other teams to find themselves in better positioning. Comes the rest of the trio now.
Ooh, now we're seeing both the dashes being used. You know they have the misform in their back pocket, just kind of combining both methods of rotation to try to make their way in. But just as they reach the end, Pei in a full trio, Booga's trio as well, maybe even one other, all focusing in this direction. Even though they're surviving for now, they are burning through a lot of materials.
Yeah, for sure. You saw for a second there, Rise switched that med miss in case things got super dire there, but not forced to use it. That was Threats and Blue Disc Trio kind of kicking off that lobby focus for a second there. Blake Olivero, G Diego find themselves in a zone pull. Not bad at all. A very short distance rotate for them now. You see the marker come out. They're looking to get a piece of that high ground. Look at them. Well positioned above the threshold as far as overall damage is concerned. And no elim, so really just showing that they've manipulated and played this lobby very consistently thus far. Great start to this end game now for them. Agers, Oyo, and Acorn, though, not looking good for the team we hyped up as Agers bails his team out of a terrible situation here. Siphon kicks in for everyone.
Yeah,
They're
unfortunately
back.
enough. Yeah, that was Dave, Boji, and Jack that just went down. And this is where I'm talking about. Sometimes you may think you're safe, but somebody's creeping around. Any one of these walls can turn that one. Booga, Threat sprays. They wasted no time trying to get into zone. They used a combination of those dashes that we saw. And as soon as they reach the edge, they're just looking back, trying to hold out every single one of these teams. And you're seeing exactly why. They're barely above that damage threshold. And so they're focusing any single person that they can.
And you can see that, you know, again, they're only a B rank at best, right? So not too much, you know, opportunity for them to really hit those hero chests and kind of get the big misforms and kind of those upgrades. So we'll see how they play with their more or less scrappy loot. For Bila, TK, and Larson, though, it's looking pretty tight here. They've got options and opportunities. Fights breaking down all on the outskirts of VG, Money, and Rise continuing to push aggressively here through their rotate. They haven't caught a break. These teams that have landed on them, but defense looking very, very well. This form might be time to pull that out. I was gonna say you don't want to be in between all these boxes. Smart play for Aviv there.
Basically in an island rotating through that one, all the way from Outpost Enclave as well. They got to have one of the farthest rotations in the lobby so far, and to be able to find this much success, hopefully it doesn't run out, because another far pull. Almost the entirety of this lobby has to rotate all the way towards Shining Shafts from the east to the west, and that's where you're hoping you have some sort of mobility, whether it's the Dash Sprite, the Surf Cube, or that Misform.
Yeah, most teams on the move now. The VG, Money, and Rise, though. My gosh, are they smashing through this lobby right now? Another team falls beneath them, just cracking under pressure here in the end game, recharging up these dashes now. Might be the last of what they had left from the dash sprite there. Threats, Booga, and Craze also ready to kind of go here.
Almost looks like they're waiting for cheeky opportunities like that. Larson getting tagged up as he makes his way towards the zone. Agers continuously looking back, 700 damage above. They're seeing two teams struggle to make their way in, and the Medmus smoke is a huge sign of weakness as Void Blue takes a ton of damage, forced to pause there in his step. He's not even at the zone just yet. Luckily for him, power is there, but that luck has run out. Forced to abandon, power getting chipped down. Xander cannot lend a helping hand, or at least not just yet. Jackson is going to get taken down as well. The firing squad from Poyos, Acorn, and Agers claim another one.
Violet, TK, and Larson getting busy here on the outskirts of the zone once again, just opting to stay on these outer edges, wait for teams to kind of come to them for that cheeky damage here. Plenty of time to fight here and now, but no, they're just going to chill out, go ahead and replenish these dashes. Meanwhile, high ground's taking shape right now. Hound, Aiden, and Krillian going to be the first to go ahead and situate up for this endgame here. Look at the commitment from the metal right now. So they want to go ahead and hold this high take.
And this could be right now Carillian's first FNCS Grand Finals appearance if they could somehow clutch up a win. Aiden and Hound, they play duos. They have the chemistry. They have the history on their side, and they have the high ground as well. Ninth zone, you got to be careful. That misform could change things at a moment's notice, but 61 below the damage threshold. Threats continuously looking for opportunities from 8 to 44 down to 40. It's just a teeter-totter of emotions running through these players, but it finally slows down as they get 100 above. That's going to be a big find for them. Craze gets the elimination on to 20.
And you saw Misform falls there as well. So here it goes.
Big.
The tier 1 teams now starting to pick up those key items that can really change the endgame dynamic here. Bila, TK, and Larson, though, opting to play the low ground here. So far, this strategy has not gone astray for them. They have played perfect rotations here, but starting to fall behind now. The zone's going to look to condense very, very fast. Hound, Carillion, and Aiden have given themselves a lot of space to the high ground here, trying to avoid the misform. Retakes here from trios, but it'd be just a matter of time. Boyo, Acorn, and Ager are starting to cook up here. The last we saw them, they were looking pretty desperate, but they have clawed their way right back into this game right now.
And you're seeing the beauty in action of that Demon's Domain. He's able to get the shield medallion back on up with the big pot 100, but Aviv, G-Money, Rise, they're on the hunt. That's Bylon. They were able to get a knock onto one, but Bylon's just trying to backtrack in towards the zone, give himself some time to work with, especially since now they've been focused out. Time for him to make that decision for TK. Do I get the revive? Do I not? And it looks like he's going to have to continue this one by himself relatively because he's so far away from Byla. I'm not sure they could reunite at this moment.
Here goes the fight for high ground. Oliver, OG, and Diego go for it. Carillion, Hound, and Aiden lose the high ground for a second there. Diego, Blake, and Oliver, the more experienced trio, managed to time it. Hound, the force of the low ground here. So close, yet so far from a victory royale. Now they're going to have to fight for it for the low ground. G-Money denies that opportunity, though. Carillion falls, Aiden falls. It's all up to Hound. Meanwhile, Boyo, Acorn, Agers, token in hand now. And they're taking full advantage of that misform play, men misplay in the zone there. This is all starting to collapse now, Jacob.
This is just a chaotic endgame. Everybody's just getting destroyed by this zone. It went up the mountain, down the side. So if you weren't planning ahead, you're probably back in the lobby watching all this one play out as Hound. He lost his teammates. He lost the high ground, but he gained an opportunity to tell his story here late into the game. Even with Vert getting cleaned up, Aviv, G-Money, Rise, they continue to steamroll through trio after trio here.
I mean, these are big points right now for Boyo, Acorn, and Agers. Kings of the low ground now. Oliver, OG, and team come down. They're trying to get a piece of the action here, looking to seal up the win here, but no team has really given resistance to Boyo and Acorn down to the low ground. Rise, Aviv, and G-Money, though, starting to fall apart here, playing as a duo, hit to hit right now. It's all going to come down to timing here, and now if they misplay this, they can still lose this game. Oliver, OG taking that unfortunate damage from the storm here, but Boyo is cooking on the low ground. Look at them rack up right now.
I was about to say,
Acorn
it's basically a 3v3 with a duo left alive, but now there's two duos still running around, but one of them does get taken out. That's Rise. G-Money no more. Agers goes for a play backside of the zone, but he does not find any success there. Scrambling all around. Diego's trying to put the pressure onto Agers. They have heal off, possibility staying high, but Blake goes down, but it's going to be a trade. Agers falls. Oliver, OG turns around, gets the elimination. Him, Blake, and Diego have just qualified for the Major 3 finals.
I guess we hyped him up for good reason. We said they were going to be a shoot-in, and hey, Oliver, OG, flexing what all that hard work and practice can do for you in an FNCS lobby. This is just a kickoff. The win means you go straight to grand finals, and he'll be seeing another with Diego there too. What a game to go in and kick this one off, Jacob.
Yeah, we saw a lot of our heavy hitters playing low ground throughout the course of that game. And there was only two teams that even played for height. Diego, Blake, and Oliver, OG was the second team, and they were the ones who solidified that victory royale and granted themselves a spot into the Major 3 Grand Final. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, I know it's only the first game, but what are your thoughts?
Yes, Blake. Yes, Blake. That's what I like. That right there. That's what I like to see. Oh my gosh, they've secured themselves a spot in the grand finals of Major number 3, and they will look to compete for one of the spots going to the global championships. Oh my gosh, looking at Diego's inventory there at the very end, bro, they've got nothing, and they still come out on top. I was scared, guys. I'll admit, I looked over when we swapped to the Poyo POV and then like 15 elims. I was like, well, yeah, that's fine. Game number 1, we could give it to him. And then Blake, Oliver, OG, Diego Play said, no, hold on, Zeke. Just wait, just watch.
Yeah, a great high take from them as well, as you were watching right here. Just very clean, very smooth, and it's showcasing just what those capes can do. Oliver, OG, Blake, and then Diego just playing the high ground so well, not playing too aggressively. I think a lot of players with these capes like to drop down, try and grab a bunch of refreshes, and we can see how low Diego is on mats here. But they don't fret, they play it smooth and safely, and they know it's a 3v2, even against the likes of Poyo and Agers. You just have to play patiently, and that's exactly what we saw from this trio.
Incredible timing there for Blake, Oliver, and Diego, right? Usually when we have a meta like this where there's so many mobility items that kind of make it easy for you to go up vertically, kind of contest the high ground, we have to see those high ground teams kind of separate themselves with a bunch of, space between them and the second height. But right there, they slipped up just a little bit. Hounds Trio on the high ground got a little bit too close to that second layer, and Blake, Oliver, OG, and Diego instantly took advantage.
Oh man, I cannot wait to see them compete in the finals. It's so sick. Now, of course, I know what you want, more Fortnite action, but first, a short break. When we return, we pick back up with game number 2. So stay tuned.
If you miss, you gon' regret it. Before you crawl, know I'm running it all. I'm built up like a pharaoh, now they praying that I fall. Through shadows, been burning through these battles. No weakness in my body, need to know you better ask somebody. Already, I consume the patty, it's plenty. I leave a penny for thoughts about how I'm living. Ay, turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it. No, it's a rap, got the match build like a pro. You know the legends go, harder than audio. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it. No, me off the top, no way. I came and called my name. I gave my life into my place, earned everything that I claimed. Nothing ever could replace me. 3-4-3-4, square dance on the floor. This is not a ball, I'm above it all. Start, I see my glow up where you supposed to go. Proceed on the low, can't lose if I'm the go. Leave me in the zone, I take your mind and then I snatch your soul. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it. No, I get it, they love my whole steady. Vegas don't listen, told you this ain't hypothetical. Answer the call, prove this once and for all. Can't reach me with an arrow, summer nights I never fall. No cattle, the goat don't wear a saddle. Cold riders off my body, cut them off, they yucky sloppy. Already, I consume the petty. The vision's 2020, believe your eyes are winning. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it. No, it's a rap, got the match build like a pro. You know the legends go, harder than audio. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it. No.
Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. We just wrapped up game number 1, and man, it was a wild one. Of course, there's a couple things that happened in that game, like, I don't know, Acorn, Ages, and Poyo just going absolutely ham in that game. Oh my gosh, what was their total? How many eliminations did they end up with? Because again, we kind of went into those final few moments, and again, when we jump over to Poyo, and I'm like, bro, this guy's just got it all. He's got medallion. This is an easy GG, right? They don't manage to get the victory royale, but guys, these guys are 100% in first place as far as consistency is concerned.
You know, I've been watching their streams over the last few weeks and through the play-ins, and something that Acorn said during one of these games where in first moving, he's like, oh, everyone stays to the front of zone, we need to change the meta. And I've kind of noticed that when they are on the low ground, they actually kind of stay towards the side, maybe even in the middle, where they allow a lot of these other teams to kind of rotate in front of them, and that's why they're able to get so many eliminations, and not until they're kind of aware where everyone else is on the low ground do they push for that front zone. So I'm loving these adjustments. I'm loving the awareness that this has, and that obviously comes from Acorn being one of the smartest IGLs in all of Fortnite, and to have him with Poyo and Agers, these incredible fraggers. The only thing that hurts me is that we got to see some dig on dig crime. Of course, Acorn and Oliver OG, you know, when the organizations go up against each other, it's a bittersweet moment, but what a great moment that was, Vivid.
I mean, you want to talk about moments, right? There was a game-defining moment for this trio. It was definitely their eliminations on today, right? MDF and Jacob were talking about it. As soon as we kind of tuned into their POV at the start of that fight, they were like, whoa, these guys are not looking good at all. And then a couple seconds later, boom, they pick up the eliminations, they pick up the refresh, and they just went ahead with that momentum. I mean, 17 total eliminations, picking up that second place after our casters are kind of able to kind of tune in and be like, whoa, they're not looking so good. Turn it into that kind of a game. Incredible stuff from the trio.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, of course, on the other side though, right? You've got Aviv, you got G-Money, you got Rise. They didn't get 17, but third place in 12 eliminations. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know what about this meta is making like these trios just say like, we're gonna find every elimination, we're gonna get every single one possible. But you know, it is so exciting to see. And again, like, you know, all of these tiny little interactions, eliminating a player, taking their stuff, suddenly an impact, suddenly a new weapon, ammo, materials, whatever it is, like that moment to moment right now is just so unbelievably exciting to me, Kelly.
Yeah, that Sentinel Pump in the right hands can just end up with a double-digit elimination, joined by G-Money and Rise, who are able to kind of just navigate the low and mid ground so well in that end game, giving Aviv just all of the gas that he needed to go hard. And, you know, Rise, Money, they were a duo in that situation, but going and continuing to thrive in that situation where you don't really know the chaos is going on around you. How are you going to be able to survive? Where should you be positioning yourself in the end game? Well, this duo right here handled that with just great ability.
And kind of checking out those highlights from that game right there, actually able to notice that it's actually around the same time, 7th zone, similar to kind of Acorn's trio, where they look like they were not doing so well either, right? We kind of tuned into Aviv's trio earlier on throughout the game, and it was like, whoa, they're racking up eliminations very, very easily. Can't believe they weren't the trio with the most eliminations in that game, all things kind of considered, because they were so down bad in like 7-6 zone. They had to keep playing aggressive, but it just worked out for them.
They're trying to hit that S rank. They're like, all right, S rank,
Yeah.
pretty good stuff to me. I did want to highlight quickly 5th place Taki Isho and Vert. We kind of talked about them at the start of the show, right? And to see them kind of, you know, this is a really good starting place, right? We just need to keep this momentum moving forward. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. We can't, of course, make any mistakes, right? We make a single slip up, a single, you know, we get sent back to the lobby type situation, and suddenly we can find ourselves outside of that top 5. But this is a great start, Kelly.
Yeah, no, I honestly think with just one game done that there's still so much opportunity for Taki, Isho, and Vert in all of our trios, honestly, to kind of make these micro adjustments that we talk about, potentially look at what they did wrong over the last game or last few games as we continue on throughout the day. So even though they're in 5th place, which is a good position to be in for group stages, I don't think that there's too much of a worry for them.
Kind of crazy as well how brutal this, you know, this meta is. It keeps people alive for so long because of the meds, the mist form that's kind of available for all of our players. Makes those solo clutches really, really easy. It just makes placement points very, very hard to get as well. Like Buka's trio not finding themselves in the top 10 on the consistency leaderboard, even though they were alive in like 11th zone. Super, super brutal.
Yeah, I mean, they're currently sitting in 13th place, right? So I like that you call that out. Let's keep our eyes on that over these next few games. Now, remember, we only have 5, which means we have 4 left to go before we close group number 1. So we can't skip a beat. Let's get ready to jump back into the action. MDF, over to you.
Thank you. And yes, I think that we're seeing the early glimpse of how the new end games are going to start taking form in these higher tier lobbies, Jacob. A lot of players seem to be able to go the distance now, all thanks to all the opportunities, the heals, the med mist, the mist form, right? There's so many ways to do that.
Yeah, throughout the course of that game, I was even thinking to myself, man, placement points got to be huge right now. It was still 14 teams still up. Some of them is probably solos, some of them probably duos, but it's the miss form that is truly key. And it really goes to show, man, just heals, 2 med kits, maybe a med miss smoke can really change the difference between top 14 and the top 8. And that's where half of the placement points are at.
Yeah, well, clearly Oliver OG and team are going to be happy now. They're going straight to the grands. It's all up to the rest now to try to pull in a victory royale. Let's talk about the dynamic changes here really quickly. We're tearing into the next game. When you win, you are done. There's a new spot now that's going to open up here. So we'll see as we jump into game number 2.
With proven success from that drop spot already, Monster, we'll see if anybody is daring enough to switch it up. Already a victory royale, and I think most of the community thought Oliver, Blake, and Diego was going to make it in, but more so on the side of consistency. And when I have that in the back of my head, if I'm one of those teams that is in a contested drop, maybe I start to move my way over there. If not this game, probably games 3 or 4.
I mean, Aiden, Hound, and Carillion had high ground early. They were the first to take it, invested all their metal, and still raised themselves many layers above the rest of the teams. But somehow, some way, Oliver OG's team still managed to get up to high ground and contest them and give them a run for their money. So it was, I think, really well fought for, right? And earned, honestly.
Yeah, and I thought more teams would probably be going for high ground. I think that's something we're going to see as the games do continue on. Only so many teams can survive down below, but back at the resistance base, a contested fight that we saw early on in game number 1 kind of settled in one direction, and already an early down is going to go on way of Pay, Boogeyman, and Quick, who won the fight in game number 1, and back-to-back eliminations as all 3 go down 2 games in a row.
Quick, Pay, and Boogeyman playing very well early game. They carried that into the mid game before falling before, so a lot of lessons to be learned there. Priscilla on Kadios and Bait, one of those first few teams, of course, looking to try to see if they can make their initial grands. This is contested, though. The standoff right now, but Priscilla caught off and out of bounds, essentially, there. Can't be on the other side of the trio. And your team's kind of playing the opposite. That was just a small misplay, right?
Yeah. I feel like I can almost hear the team comms. Why are you even on that side? We know it's a split drop, especially after game 1. But Pilot's going through the same thing over at Lone Wolf. They know it's contested, but he's able to get the first elimination with the Spire. But it's only going to be a knock. 2v2 still going down with Larson, trying to steal some of these pieces away, find success in the short moment. Sale has to be able to get this damage there. TK gets tagged up just a little bit. He's forced to back up and cower down as Larson does go down. That's a 2v1 situation now with him being last alive. Let's say TK was able to escape, but another third-party monster.
Yeah, but you can't miss those tags. Mafia techs now show up fast before TK can even really process what happens, it seems like. They're looking. They have an inkling of where he is. There's only so many options you can get to. TK hit for 90 and then the finish there. Man, quick finish for them. All that momentum they built out of game 1 now deleted as they are forced to kind of play towards the later half of the tournament here. Only 5 games, Jacob. Losing one really sets you back, even on overall points as well.
And interesting to see, because that team that kind of pushed over towards Lone Wolf Lair, they were originally planning on going towards first order base, so either they made a quick rotation monster or they switched things up, which is working out for them. BJ Baloney at September 19th. Going up against a fight here, but even though you kind of see this full fight breaking down 3v3 from high ground to low ground, Turbulence going for a knock onto 1, you can kind of see on the outskirts of this fight a third party waiting for it all to play out so they can kind of take what they hope to steal away from the winner of this fight.
Interesting about this fight is, you know, the first game we was able to tell very clearly the teams were deciding, maybe it's not worth finishing. This time, no. Much different story. They're pushing it through to the end, and then you have Boogeyman sneaking up right now. So for one team wipe, looking to get into the next one. They've heard the shots. They see what's going on here. But it seems like the team's already hunting down the 1 solo left, and don't even know what's going on right now. The 3-2-1 here, Jacob.
It's an interesting decision, too. A lot of strategies so far from the couple teams that we saw already kind of changing up. Because in game 1, they won their off-spawn bite. They looted resistance base. The zone was relatively close, and they played the rest of the game at normal. They probably saw something throughout that course of the game 1. The contested fight going on over towards their west, and they're looking to try to take advantage of it, but nobody's rotating in that direction. I feel like for Boogeyman, Quick, and Pay, they just got to continue on with the rest of the game, just like they did in the first one.
Another team lurking right here. Oh, the missed shot. Can't miss those tags right there. That ambush foiled now. Zonda gets away. Power FN already has the high ground here, looking backwards now. Okay, Kuiperson, Luck and Dog. Probably gonna have to give this one up right now. Missed opportunities, big time right here. We'll come back around and check their damage later as the surge turns on. We'll see if we find them below. We'll know why. For Drizzy, Liam, and Madden, though, trying to make up for that mid-game fault that they had last time.
I want to say it almost seems like it could be a similar zone for the most part, even though it does have a little bit more of an eastern lean. You see it moving down towards Pump Power, maybe in Utopia, as Naves gets tagged from 2 different angles, caught off guard in that split second, trying to heal up. Hopefully his teammates are there to alleviate some of the pressure. Aloe is trying to do just that, landing some shots on Brazi down below. He has that ultimate high ground, and he's going to try to pressure these teams, allow for some time to Naves to actually heal up without the thought of anybody trying to pressure that box. And nobody, in theory, this is such an isolated fight because you see it's kind of pushing in from Shogun Solitude just past Canyon's Crossing at the peak of this mountaintop where you have a launch pad as well. So there's not going to be any third parties rushing in to try to take this position or steal this fight away. At the worst, maybe somebody looking off into the distance. That's going to allow exactly what we're seeing here. A lot of flexibility for both of these teams to try to disengage off this mountain and rotate into the zone.
Funnily enough, though, both teams thinking the same exact thing. Like, let's kind of give it up. Look, Brazil, Cinema, they still think the trio's up top, but we've kind of already gone. Back to the Crime City, though. Power Blue, Zonda. Probably not finding tags off that Surge base. Now they're saying, hey, whatever happened to that team that was in the city with us? They turn back and they find him. Hyper's just going to fall here, and their whole entire plan is starting to crumble. Cake has a chance, though, to kind of turn this back around, turn this into a 2v2.
He did get a knock. That's the difference maker. It looks like he was going to try to hide, play hero when his teammate did go down, but him getting that knock kind of changed up the entire course of this fight. Now Blue and Power are looking at how are we going to save Zonda? How are we going to keep him into the game? Cake with another angle, but he only has the DMR, so there's not a lot of pressure Cake can put down single-handedly.
Oh, but Lucky Dog's here, but no, shots from the distance. They're going to kill every opportunity they had. Kind of turn this around, and Power gets a shield crack, and Luckin doesn't put the builds down. Oh, no. And then the team in the distance snipes one of them as well.
Fortunate circumstances going down. This is the problem we talk about, especially one of these contested POIs. The third parties coming in from Predator's Peak, Luke, Phoenix, and Pandas. They're able to get the elimination over towards the Resistance base, and this is a team that didn't even land here initially. They went back towards the Resistance base, trying to get whatever loot is left on over, and they ended up landing against the team of Quick, Pay, and Peace. They get the elimination, and now they basically double up their loot.
Stood around longer than they should have. Look at that. Clean finish off the Pay. Right into the box. Fearless for Venox. Remember Boogeyman and Pay, they had the trio elimination, and then they were trying to lurk, catch another team off guard, and instead Irony attacks here as they end up being a team ambushed on.
Back to the game plan as usual. Just going to take a quick peek. There's not too many teams contesting that island, so it's going to go uncontested Agers, Acorn, and Pollo yet again. Following in the same blueprint of their game number 1. They weren't able to get the win, but 17 eliminations, Monster. Another game like that, they might have top 5 locked and loaded, ready to go. Still got to play it out. On the other side of the map, you're seeing a fall from grace or an attempt at it. They're just trying to chop down the high ground, so that way it becomes an easier battle that they think they could take.
A lot of mats committed there too, but give that a second. We jump in with Tex. Hades and Mafia right now. Great shield crack here off the bait. Oh, this team's got them cut off on the second layer too, but Mafia falls by the shotgun of Muncadios on the other side of the wall. Bait though, here it is, the exchange. Hades gets the follow-up, and there's the full finish. They're gonna have to play for the save here shortly, but there's another team lurking nearby. Pressure's on now to perform here.
please, Monster, you correct me. Anybody in chat that's watching, correct. Is this the most fighting we've seen in a group stage ever to start a tournament off? From game 1 to game 2, it just feels like they're just endless. Teaks, Hades, they're the last alive. Mafia's not there. I bet you they got their reboot card, but they need to figure out a way to disengage. And it just got even harder because there's another third-party team moving in to try to close the distance. Teaks does go down, so it's all going to be up to his teammate, the last alive on their team, to try to get these cards and reboot them back into the game.
Yeah, look, it could be, you know, attributed to the lack of cash cups this season, right? Like we said, not too many set lobby chances to really get it in. So what you're seeing could just be the raw, unfiltered take at these games. Teams seem to be getting caught completely off guard left and right inside of the storms here. And then so many ways to push, right? You got all these dashes, misforms, and it just seems like confidence at an all-time high.
Then you add in stuff like this, the Med Miss Smoke, where it's kind of your entire team can carry a stack of 2 and make sure everybody stays alive for so long. Bray is trying to escape, but he knows it's eventually going to be over. If he doesn't find himself with elimination, he did his best, but he's going to fall short of the marker. Luckily for him, though, just leaving the minimap on the eastern edge. You see Core just trying to escape. There is a launch pad there. There's a lot of different mobility in the game that we were talking about. So hopefully for him, he has some HP to regain, whether it's med kits, Chug Chug, or Med Miss Smoke, to try to get his team back in the game.
Well, nicely played for them. Jumping back to some of the big boys in the lobby. The vets here, Booga, Brazen Threats, falling short last game in that end game. Again, 13th place with how much time alive they attributed to that round really shows the difference, the significance of misform, med miss, and all the other, you know, mobility items that you have available and at your disposal here. Now we're getting to see how the misform can be used for the W key as Vert, Escher, and Taki get a knock and immediately collapse in. Looking to burn that first misform there. Absolutely worth it. They secure the loot here. This is at the center of the Shining Span now.
This could be good control for them, too, depending on where the zone continues to move. There's no outskirts. There's no edge of zone currently here at Shining Span. We have seen in Majors Pass 1 and 2, zones go over towards Shining Span. And whoever's the one that's brave enough to kind of claim the top of that bridge usually ends up performing well, as Woods just kind of get 3-2-1 by the entire trio. He's going to fall. They immediately use that misform to close the distance.
No one missed the shot there. He fell before he could even react.
Good punish, and then you see them pass around the medallion like a hot potato. You get shield, and that's how a team like this over towards Demon's Domain is able to kind of make it far into the game. They're not forced to use a lot of their resources, so that way the minis, they're able to keep them longer and longer in towards the end game where they make more of an impact, especially if you're taking damage pressured from all around. Just outside Lone Wolf layer, Turbulence, Amen, Lucky T, they're able to survive using every single resource at their disposal just in order to just get that revive. They do have the Med Miss Smoke, but now is where they got to start thinking. The zone is pulling so far away of where they're currently at, all the way towards the eastern edge. They have to make that a focal point from here on out.
Good use of this Surf Cube here. I mean, you get a lot of distance out of this. Lucky's going to go ahead and... Looks like he's seemingly getting back to some old loot there, but I'll catch up with them in a second. As, again, got to get to the safety first. Dark Havoc and Silic by the Kappa Kappa factory. See that stat right there. Silic and Jargu both played their first FNCS finals last season, placing 21st. Let's see how much they've managed to learn in their end-game high-tier lobbies.
Those edge fights right now just out of Demon's Domain. Two teams currently battling it out, 3v3. Electro and his trio versus Jackson and his trio, but there's a whole nother one coming out of Demon's Domain and a solo player just towards the east. So the longer this fight goes, the harder it's going to be because they're using so much material, which you could already see they don't have a lot of. 3 points so far, that coming from eliminations in game number 1. That puts a lot of pressure on them to survive, so that way they don't have those mental kind of roadblocks throughout the rest of this tournament.
Both sides kind of poising up, just looking for an opportunity, but this low fire rate rifles here not really giving them that quick advantage they're looking for. Jack's got to be careful though, losing the walls there.
I would say they kind of got blessed there in a moment. Zone didn't pull too far away, so they don't have too much distance to cover after this one's over, but they're just kind of getting the maps burnt away, trying to create some extra space. That's Jackson on that side. Smoss, Electro, Doug King Beast, they're just trying to hold their position here. They're feeling confident playing their game. They haven't moved too far away from where the fight actually started. That way they can run in and out of their builds if things get tough.
Yeah, Beast not happy with them kind of claiming that extra territory to play with. You can see him inching his way in now. Might just be a matter of time before the Surge goes and gives the update to the lobby. They don't know what they need to do at that moment. G-Money Rising Beef, though, on the move right now. At the center of the next zone here. Got themselves a little bit of a position. Max material as well. Here's that warning we talked about, but no damage problems for this trio.
Looking back, that's kind of where their two trios were fighting back there. One trio is going to be above, more towards the eastern edge. Smoss, Beast, and Electro. They're not out of zone just yet, but they're holding on to the high ground. That way, when that team rotates on out, they can try to get damage, but they became hunted by a whole nother team, and they find themselves 200 plus below that damage threshold, and now they're feeling the pressure. They're feeling the timing on their back that they have to start to react here, because every 5-7 seconds, 25 damage when Storm Surge activates, and you don't want to just blow through all of your heals this early in the game.
Acorn and Boyo not content with that low ground push they try to make onto Icy's trio there. Seems like too many other teams are starting to set up all around them. Gonna have to give that one up here. Zone's gonna pull past Utopia now. Meanwhile, Smoss, I mean, the Surge is gonna turn on here. They're below. We saw them kind of in that standoff. I think they were trying to feel out their damage, but you could see it. They did not have enough. Cinnamon gets collapsed on. The aggression is real, but Beast falls first. Smalls there to back it up. Jax, Brazil, and Cine just hitting the shots that matter most.
Team is still active. Surge. Smoss goes down to power, which is a whole nother team. Both teams above the damage threshold, over 600. And a far zone pull going over towards Utopia, maybe even further. I hinted at Shining Span being a possibility, Monster. I didn't think it would actually go all the way over there. So I think about the teams that were already on that side of the map. Taki, Ishao, Vert, Booga, Crazed, Threats that lands towards Utopia. So if you were kind of here and hedged your bets, you got to be one of the most better positioned teams in the game so far.
Oh, most definitely. And then look at that body of water, right? This is going to play a lot of dynamic in this end game here. It's going to start to influence these teams to start piling up on these outskirts here. It's really going to cause strong funnels. No threats, though. What happened here? Just Crazy and Booga up right now. They're trying to keep a low profile, though. Notice they're kind of below this indestructible, clip edge right there, keeping the tree up from the other trio, so they really don't want to attract attention right now. Seems like Booga and Crazy are trying to play for endgame here. Almost strictly consistency. Acorn, Boyo, and Agers doing somewhat similar, but they've got themselves their eyes on the prize for other teams. Look at this. They fall from below the Surge now. They were 400 above just in the last zone. Booga gets tagged there. This might be the signal to kick this off. You know, there was only 2 teams, and here comes the chase.
Because of that medallion, they know exactly who's pushing them right now through the 2 situation. Poyo feeling more and more confident, but now Storm Surge is active. Around every 7 seconds, 25 damage will tick onto these players. And the kicker on top of that, Monster, they don't go down. You get straight eliminated by Storm Surge if it activates.
But you see how good the misform is right there. Allowing Booga and Craze to actually escape and now rotate straight to the next zone there. Narrowly getting away from Agers, Acorn, and Boyo, who are desperate here and now. You wouldn't expect a team this good to be under the Surge here for game 2, but they have plenty of room to play with. Acorn on the lead here, looking to kind of cut them off. Agers trying to back him up, but no, gets tagged in return there. comes the misform. Acorn falls there, getting grief for the damage. And still, even with all that, they're still underneath.
Pass around the medallion. Good play by Pollo to drop down the Medmis smoke to keep Agers alive a little bit longer, but Storm Surge is just eating them alive. 33 below the damage threshold. Even though they've isolated this fight against that team that is going to be right below them, it has not gotten easier any step of the way through. 1 damage still below the threshold, and for now, Storm Surge will deactivate, but they got about 40 seconds to get above that threshold.
Nice. Pollo finding a knock right there. That's huge. That should be enough. He needs to get this finish too. And a 149. What a crack right there. Really showing you guys why Pollo is that guy. Hold up though. He's not done. There's the finish he's looking for. Okay, so they're right back in it like they never left here. Hold up. He countered and it comes through. No. Caught off guard there. Pollo falls. Storm's doing way too much damage. Agers actually has to leave him behind. Jacob, this all goes downhill.
It's a real tough situation to be in, especially since Pollo not only had the medallion, but he had a bunch of HP heals as well, med kits.
Yeah.
The Medmis smoke, that was exactly what they needed, and the materials on top. You see it how low on resources overall Agers is. Couple of empty slots and less than 20 builds overall. You're seeing the struggles around the lobby. Taki, Ishao, Vert, much better position. They've been proactive throughout the course of this game, rotating south from their actual drop spot just to be first to every single one of these rotations. Seeing a replay of how they're getting all of that loot and more. They're able to get VNox into the box. They clean that one up with ease before they go right back on to pushing out. Switch on over
What
to
a play.
G Money and Rise. Yeah, that was good.
I mean, just back and forth right now. We're really seeing the action pick up here for game number 2. Look at this. Another update. Agers finding minis. Who knows where, but he's got something to work with right now. Couple charges left in the misform here. That's going to be the difference in him actually earning some extra placement point here.
Sneaking around, finally gets spotted out. He has no build, so he can't even really protect himself, so he sets his eyes in the sky. You hear the birds going around, and that's where in the back of his mind, are they chasing me? Are they not? It does look like Lugo and Craze continue rotating straight forward in towards the zone. They don't want to take too many risks, considering they already lost threats earlier into this game, but they still are able to take down Agers.
Full circle moment there for Booga. He's the one who finds the tag onto Agers there. Misform to go in and rotate out. More pressure coming through, and even with no threats in the lobby, pulling through here and now. But if VG Money and Rise are on the hunt right now, they find Craze. They wrap it up so fast there, and Booga can't misform out this time. He's gonna have to fight for this one. Doesn't escape fast enough. Just like that, G Money, Rise and Aviv get their hands on their first misform. Very big pickup here.
Yeah, Misform truly is going to be a difference maker, especially in the right hands. But for now, Crackley, Mikey, Rao, they're on the high ground. But we see Night Zone already from game 1 just be a little bit too early for any team to feel safe, especially with the different mobility items in the game that can kind of steal it away in the blink of an eye. As Vert, Taki, Isha rotating towards the left side of the zone. They don't want to be on that ultimate low ground just yet. They know it's too chaotic down there with so many teams wreaking havoc.
Yeah, if you're Crackley's team who's holding high ground, you gotta start pressuring these mid-ground layers. Otherwise, G Money Rise will have a chance to take for high ground. But look at this. As I start talking about what is the next textbook play, Ral FN seems like they get collapsed on by Taki, Ishu, and Vert. You blink and you missed it. Now they are in control of things here, and they're really starting to push through. Look at the big find here. Vert with the recap. Now max material. My gosh. They have everything they need to win this one here. Aiden, Hound, and Cerulean, though, thinking about that last game and what went wrong this time. They say, no, we're going to play low grounds and mids. No need for hype too soon here.
You're going to find a new misform. That's basically 4 extra charges. A lifeline there in the back pocket as a just in case. And Vert, Ishao, Taki, they got the high ground, have not looked back. They continue to pressure every single team down below them. Does not want to let second height even think they have a chance, forcing them to burn through their match as G-Bunny, Rise, Aviv continue to dominate the low ground. 3rd elimination so far. They're trying to have that calm, cool, collected demeanor to make their way through the rest of this game.
So 20 players up here, 11 duos or trios, teams kind of mixed in this end game right now, and really showing you how much players are able to go the distance right now. One thing's for certain though, high ground is big chillin', and this is what happens when you get zone. They have so much mats to play with. Seems like just favoritism kicking in for them, but Broken Void and King find another knock here, but no, lose a teammate in the process. The lobby's starting to look back towards them, and he tries to get a little bit of his teammates loot, but no chances, no time for it. And just like that, they're done and out. Aviv, G-Money, and Rise starting to look good for them. Aiden and Hound as a duo, playing very well here. There's the finish onto Liam. Misform here, still has a lot of options to play with.
Fortunate enough, those weren't his actual eliminations, so no side for him to keep him alive. Blue's already down. Zonda and Power trying to smoothly move through the low ground, but Power gets caught out at the tail end. Now Zonda's gonna be left by himself. A battle versus Day on the other side, and the tables have turned from being aggressed on to trying to run away, but he's still gonna go down. A bunch of these teams that we just saw in full getting torn apart, stuck as duos, stuck as solos, but in the clouds right now, Taki, Isha, and Vert, they have not been challenged. The Shining Span Bridge has been a huge thorn in every player on the low ground side.
Yeah, G-Money and Rise and Aviv playing very well low and mid-ground here. However, starting to run a little thin on the material counts. They're going to all drop back into the storm here. Okay, very interesting play right now. Popping Chug Jugs as a trio, then probably looking to misform, retake the high ground team. Oh, here it comes. Things are going to get very interesting here.
Two full trios and a duo, most of them crashing down below onto that low ground. Down goes Rise. Aviv is getting a little bit of redemption as he runs into 20 there. Great shot can be fired off as 20 goes down as well. That's going to be a wipe onto that trio, but you can see up above, they've just been waiting for this. They let them fight. They used it as a distraction. Now Taki, Bert, Icho are in full control.
They were just too patient, taking their time, recognizing that they shouldn't jump the gun too soon, and this is a win waiting for them to claim right here. A couple of mats, though, are left. Misform goes on up. Vert has to get contested here. It's all going to come down to this smart fight for G-Money to take, but Vert finds the tag to win the game.
That is a big game for them. The zone pulled over towards Shining Span early on. That's where they picked up some of the first eliminations of the game, and they set up shop from zone to zone from there on out. Monster, they didn't even waste their time going for high ground in the 8th zone, not even in the 9th, but it was the 10th zone. They timed it perfectly, knowing that team up there was wasting all of their resources.
Storybook finish for them. You know, you just can't emphasize the importance of that critical elimination at the Shining Span, giving them an abundance of material to play with, and then the zone pulling that way. It just doesn't get better. Look at it from their perspective. I mean, it just looked like easy walk for them in the park here. And really, you got to give them a lot of credit. They played smart, slow, and steady, because you saw Aviv and Rise trying to time the retake, but Ishu, Taki, and Vert played the smart and had a lot of high ground there, giving them that distance.
And this is where G-Money tried to contest, but it was too little, too late. 17th finals for Vert, for Taki and Ishao. This is going to be their second appearance in the Major 3 Grand Finals. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, what do you guys think of all that action?
Guys, they treated this like a grand finals endgame, right? That's that sweet spot you want to be in when there's all this kind of chaos happening on the different layers, people changing, jumping, dashing all over your screen. Being able to find that calm in the storm and really zone in and just play your game has led them to now from game 1, right? They were 5th place going into that game, right? We were kind of talking about them before we went to that break, like, oh man, maybe, like, though they're on the edge, like maybe they just got to kind of keep going. Nah, they just turned around and said, hey, look, Victory Royale, let's just treat this like a grand finals lobby. Let's do what we need to do. And they come out with a win.
I mean, it was exactly what Jacob was talking about, where they saw the high ground around zone 9, right? Actually what we're watching right now, and just saw just kind of how shambles high ground was. No one was really claiming it for their own. So they were able to take that high ground just a little bit late, and not just take high ground, but also take it at a very low zone, I should say, where they had a lot of opportunity to kind of get eliminations towards the mid ground, grab those refreshes, and then be able to hold high ground for the rest of the game. And then they kind of just waited for the rest of the lobby to get those eliminations. I know that a lot of people say high ground wins games, low ground wins tournaments, but for, the group stages, they don't need to worry about winning a tournament. They just need to worry about winning the game.
And I feel like everything Kelly just said right there could be you could put more emphasis on that, simply, being the fact that it's like, oh wow, they took high ground early on, right? And we've seen some teams kind of fail to do that earlier on because it's just hard to maintain the materials kind of needed to do that. But again, we're talking about a team here that just made it to their second FNCS finals, right? 2 of the players on this trio. That type of win that we just saw is something that we kind of expect out of like one of our more experienced teams, right? Like maybe like Acorn's trio would have won a game like that, right? Especially early on in the game, game number 2. So this trio, the story seems almost too good to be true sometimes, making it to their first FNCS final last major, following that up with a game like that to make it into the finals again. They look good.
I've written a script or 2, not a big deal. Anyway, let's go to a break. When we come back, only 3 games left to go before Group 1 closes, so stay tuned. You won't want to miss any of the action. Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. With 2 games down, we only have 3 left to go, but there's still plenty of action ahead of us. So let's talk about that last game, right? More chaotic than before, but still some amazing plays coming out. There was some hiccups along the way as well. We're looking at, Aviv and company. Talk to me about this last game. What might have gone well, maybe bad? What do you guys think?
I think that it wasn't necessarily bad for this trio. I think that they actually had a pretty good run through the mid game, or the end game there, staying on the mid ground. They do a really good job with this. They aren't like the other trios where they kind of stick to the ultimate low, especially when you're going over water. It's so risky to stay on that low ground, so they stuck to the mid ground. They were able to kind of get these little picks and eliminations here and there, but truly for me, it was the preparation that they had for the end game. They understood that they didn't have that many mats, so they need to make sure that they had a ton of heals for the end game, and that's what allowed them to survive close to the very end.
Yeah, I mean, how different are games 1 and 2 for this trio, right? The game 1, they were shambles, had low mats, 7 zone, had to keep playing aggressive, which led to so many eliminations for them in that game. And then we kind of tune in with them this game, and right, going into the end game, only 3 eliminations kind of in the 11th zone. Such a big difference. When we actually, tuned in with them, I think it was around like 9th zone, they had 0 eliminations and plenty of mats. So played it completely differently throughout the middle game. Worked out perfectly. For sure, the most consistent trio right now.
Okay, I like it. And of course, because of that, remember, so if you look at those top points, right, 1,000 to 150, that just means it qualified, right? So right now, as we stand, Aviv, G-Money, Rise, they're technically in like first place, right? Currently looking really good. We wanted to highlight as well 7th place, Aiden,